and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. We're a week late because Microsoft.
Yeah.
But how are you?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. Watched some films. God, what did we review last time? My memory is so bad. Oh, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1979. Amazing movie.
I thought about that, and then as soon as you said, "What movie did we do last week?" my brain just
disappeared.
wiped it. It's like,
Yeah, an absolute favourite of both of ours. Tremendous movie. So this week we're back to our usual, watching crap that we find online. Do you want to kick us off? We've seen two movies we've seen together, so that's
So let's start with the I would say the big one at the moment for what it is, and that's Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Is the new fourth installment of Beverly Hills Cop. It's directed by Mark Malloy. And of course sees Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, Paul Reiser. Great cast, including Jason Gordon-Levitt coming in, Kevin Bacon coming in, and Taylor Page as Axel's daughter.
My heart sank when the initial sort of thing for that was like, oh no, Axel's daughter. Oh no, it's going to be that sort of thing all over again.
So my opinion of this movie, since the day it was announced, was that it can't possibly be worse than the third one. And it's not. So there's that.
Yes.
It's better than the third one. I left this movie kind of like, well, that's fine. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. It was a much better ending. It was fine.
Yeah.
I can leave it here.
I agree with that. I don't think I'd ever watch it again.
No. But it's a better ending. So effectively, the story, 30 years later, Axel is still somehow a police detective.
And he hasn't really changed much.
No, he's a little bit wiser in places. A little bit. Like
slightly less energy.
Slightly less energy. A bit more lethargic, as we all are. Still wears that fucking Detroit coat. Like, he still wears the same outfit, though. I love that.
He's like, his style hasn't changed.
This is my thing. I love that Jeffrey is now like his boss. Like the mate he used to get.
Of course he is. Jeffrey
he was always gonna do well because he was by the book.
Jeffrey struck me as a bit of a brown noser. I mean, maybe that's just because it's Paul
the actor. Yeah, totally. But the movie kind of opens with him going to this Red Wings game to solve a crime. He's been told not to get involved, but of course he gets involved. We get our big opening action scene that we get in every Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Yeah.
This time with the snowplow. Before we discover that Axel's daughter, who goes by Saunders, Jane Saunders, is a defense attorney in LA, and she's kind of overseen by Rosewood, I guess.
Yeah, well, Rosewood's he's been
not appearing in this movie.
He's now a detective, isn't he?
Yes.
He's a detective, and he's been working on a case of a kid who's basically found in a car with a dead policeman.
Yeah.
And he's basically getting the rap for this murder. Which everybody thinks, oh no, it's just some kid, punk kid who's killed a cop. He's going away. But there is evidence to suggest that he's being set up, possibly by crooked cops.
Yes.
So there you go.
The fucking second Kevin Bacon walked into a room, I was like, bad.
I mean,
like there was not even a moment of pretense.
No.
It was like villain.
It was It was almost like he was channeling. What's the name? What's the name of the character from the X-Men movie? He's in.
The
Is it Sebastian Shaw?
yes.
Yeah, it's Sebastian Shaw. He's basically just Sebastian Shaw with a little less sort of.
Yeah, a little bit like Sebastian Shaw, a little bit of Hollow Man. It's just a creepy.
Yeah. It's Kevin Bacon being
villain Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rosewood contacts Axel and basically says that his daughter's in trouble. So Axel obviously then Jeffrey announces his retirement, doesn't he? So he's like, "Oh my god, I'm retiring." And Axel's like, "Okay, cool. I'm going on holiday. Won't get into any trouble." And
he basically says that he should probably retire too.
Yeah. He's basically like, "You probably should give it up. You are terrifically old, sir."
Yeah.
And it goes the Top Gun Maverick route of like, why haven't you been promoted? And then you're like, oh no, actually it makes sense because that character wouldn't. They just they'd lose any promotion they got. They would lose. It makes sense. It makes sense for Maverick. It makes sense for Axel Foley, right?
Yeah.
He's either dead or in the same job or fired.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I probably could have imagined him as the character that went on to be a detective-y type.
Yeah.
You know, because
gone independent kind of thing.
I'm surprised he's still on the force, to be honest.
Well, I assume I assume much like Maverick with Iceman kind of overseeing him. I guess he's had Jeffrey above him all of his life, defending him basically and keeping him in post. So anyway, he heads to Beverly Hills to track down his daughter, finds that Rosewood is missing, and we're kind of off to the races.
Yeah, she's been
from there.
She's been tried to scare her off by dropping her out the back of a multi-story car park.
Yes,
with a winch.
Yeah,
and
she's warned off the case. She doesn't listen.
Yeah, she's warned off, and it's the usual sort of the story. You're not going to get anything really surprising in this movie.
The two surprising things in this movie are that they didn't do fruit up the tailpipe, and
that's true.
And he doesn't laugh once. You don't get an Axel Foley laugh this entire film, which I was like, that is weird that you didn't do that.
No, I didn't actually notice.
No, I did because I was waiting for it, and I was like, surely the final scene. Nope.
Actually, the most surprising thing to me was that most of the old guys came back. I mean, admittedly, they're not fucking in it for very much, but
I actually thought as well. It's one of the things I thought this movie did very well. I actually think the old cast turn up appropriately. Even Surge, it was borderline, but even Surge didn't feel like completely forced,
No.
I felt like Taggart being the boss made perfect sense.
Yep.
It kind of felt like the cast. But one of the things, I say like, they didn't even do the Eddie Murphy laugh or fruit up the tailpipe kind of stuff. I kind of appreciate this movie for not relying too heavily on those beats, and it has bits, but not over. It's not like all nostalgia all the time. There is like it does feel like a sequel. It's not trying to be like, oh, remember this, remember that. It's like, no, it's its own story.
And I do like he keeps saying that, oh, they love me in Beverly Hills and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes there and it's so completely different to what he remembers.
Yeah, it's clear he hasn't been there for like 20 years or something.
Yeah, and
although it was kind of weird when he's like going through Beverly Hills and he's like, oh my god, mobile phones and TikTok. I'm like, they've got those in Detroit though.
I'm sure.
Like, I mean, that's like that. That's not a Beverly Hills thing.
That respect,
yeah.
Well, I think.
Or is this movie suggesting that Detroit is still like the 80s, and then Beverly Hills, like Detroit's never moved forward?
I mean, I know Detroit's got a reputation as a terrible place, but I'm sure it's not.
It's not that bad.
Bad, really? Is it?
I don't know. I've never been, so I don't know. But I imagine it's not as bad as the movies are.
One of the weirdest things for me is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt looked more old and tired than some of the other cast members did.
I don't know how that's possible, but I completely agree. It is.
I think he's like your age, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. When he was in Third Rock and we were about the same age, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon. I remember when I watched Third Rock, he was about my age. Sorry?
He was born in 81, so...
Oh, he's a bit older than me, but not much.
Yeah.
I was 84, so...
And he... Honestly, you probably could have got rid of his character.
You could have. I felt like he fit in okay. He felt unnecessary, but like fine.
There was a couple of scenes where he was like, okay. There was the scene where he was like arresting Axel.
Yeah,
that was quite funny.
Yep.
But the rest, he mostly felt like a third wheel.
Yeah, it almost felt like they wanted Rosewood to be doing all of this, and then the actor was like, oh, I can't really be arsed. Can I just be in the very beginning and the very end, please?
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. It is odd.
Really, with Rosewood, that was the funny thing with Rosewood. Is like, he turns up, he gets taken away, and then you don't see him for mostly the rest of the movie. Like,
yeah.
I mean, why haven't they killed him? Why are they still holding him?
I was like, why are they still keeping him? It makes no sense.
That didn't make sense at all. It was like...
I mean, they were like, oh, well, they're still looking for the USB drive or whatever, but it's like,
Yeah, they've already proved that they're awful people. They sent, like, Mexican gangsters after Axel after a day.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they're keeping Rosewood alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
I guess Rosewood is the one who knows where it is, the USB stick.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty clear he's not going to say anything, so...
I know, I agree. I completely
agree. At this point, he's just dead weight and a liability. But I was very surprised that it didn't turn out to be all about the daughter.
Yeah, no, I actually really liked their relationship ultimately. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it makes total, I totally believe that Axel Foley would, be estranged from his wife, and wife is like, it's Axel Foley. I mean, that's,
Yeah. And she wasn't...
I thought she was fine.
Yeah, she wasn't like this girl boss that was...
No, and like, she's like a defense attorney. She knows law. Axel clearly knows nothing about the law. If you've ever, despite being a policeman, if you've ever watched any of the Beverly Hills Cop movies, he clearly doesn't understand how anything works. So no, I thought it worked really well, actually.
They did set up nice things, like when they're in the car and that she, he was saying, "Oh, did you do this? Have you been doing this? Have you been keeping up with your, And he says, "Have you been, keeping up with escaping from handcuffs and stuff?"
Dude,
like
when
that
happened, I turned to Nick and I was like, "She's doing all of that in the final scene." It's like she's doing all of those things.
At least they had the decency to sort of, set it up.
Yeah,
and
it was nice. It was nice.
Believe that Axel's going to teach his kid how to pick locks and
100%.
Do dumb shit like that. I mean, useful shit, really, for their profession, really, I guess.
Yeah, well, certainly for his profession.
Yeah.
I did like, as well, I don't know if you got this feeling, I felt like all of the action set pieces, apart from maybe the helicopter, although even then...
The helicopter was a weird one, wasn't it?
It was a weird one. It wasn't too bad. I felt like none of it was super over the top. It all felt like it could have been an 80s, 90s action scene for the most part. There wasn't anything where like the car flips 50 times and do you know what I mean? There wasn't any like, although it was clearly CG, it wasn't like overly crazy CG,
It did feel a little bit.
The helicopter was the worst of it.
Yeah, the helicopter one was. I mean, let's make no bones about it. The helicopter was pretty terrible.
It was a weird thing as well. It felt so forced.
Yeah, and it did feel. That was Gordon Levitt's point, was that when he's like, "Oh, I used to like fly helicopters," and it's like, "Okay, so we're getting on a helicopter, right? Okay."
Yeah. And like, why did he take it to the police station? Like, he goes to land it outside the police. I'm like, what are you doing, Axel?
I don't know. That was very odd.
Like, you're clearly fugitives now. And I did find it weird that Taggart kind of goes against Axel a few times. It's like, surely after everything you've been through, and given that Rosewood's missing.
Yeah, but
I mean, it was ultimately.
The conflict, didn't they? They needed the sort of.
They did.
I mean, the thing is when Taggart's like defending Kevin Bacon's character.
Yeah.
And you sort of Axel's going, oh, you know, hey, have you seen these like the shoes he's wearing and the watch he's got? And you just think, Taggart is a really good copper. Why is he turning a blind eye? And because they want you to think, oh, maybe Taggart's, you know,
yeah, as if they're going to turn Taggart into villain in the fourth movie.
And you think, oh, in that way. And there was a split second where I thought, oh God, are they going to do that?
Oh,
they can't do that to Taggart.
That would have been terrible.
Yeah,
that would have been actually terrible if they'd done that. So no, I'm glad they didn't do that. I enjoyed that Taggart's life is still just as fucking miserable now as it always was.
Yeah, but he's back with his wife, which is funny. He's like, I'm back with my wife. It's fucking awful.
It's terrible. I'm back with my wife. yeah. It's like, he kept going on about wanting to get back with her. He finally got back with her, and now he's miserable. Brilliant.
And there was a couple of times where they were definitely hitting the member berries with, like, the house they were in was the house from the first movie.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So there were a few times where they were definitely playing on it, but it didn't feel.
It wasn't every 5 minutes like some of these nostalgia heavy movies are.
But I mean, even the bit where, towards the end, where Taggart and Rosewood are behind the sort of the rubble. And you get that sort of that go with the banter between them, and I love the sort of Rosen sort of like, come on, let's go, and he's like, I don't think I can get up.
Yeah,
I mean it worked.
It did. I would say, like,
the thing is, I don't know whether it was my own internal nostalgia for it, but kind of every time they were on screen, it did lift the movie.
I was smiling.
Yeah, it lifted the movie.
100%. I overall, I did really have a good time with this. I will say, I think it was a much better sequel than 3. If they end it here now, I'm like, okay, at least it ended. My lasting memory of this series now can be this movie. That's great. It's way better than 3 because I hated 3. So
I've got a terrible memory for 3. I get it mixed up with
first appearance of Jar Jar Binks.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's on like someone's pin.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so sad.
That was before the movie was even even finished.
I forgot what I was saying now. What was he?
I always remember the really awful Ferrari car chase in the opening with the parts of the car falling off as he's chasing the guys and stuff.
God, I've forgotten that.
Yeah,
I just remember it's not Wally World, but that's what my brain says. What the Wally World stuff was like, because they clearly wanted to make it a more kid-friendly franchise,
which it never should be. That's the problem.
And I'm in my brain, for some reason, I always get that one mixed in with Lethal Weapon, the one with Jet Li.
Yeah, which is also rubbish.
Which is also fucking awful. So those two movies keep switching in my head.
Yeah.
So every time someone says, "Oh, Beverly Hills Cop 3," my brain says, "Oh, the one with Jet Li in it." It's like, no,
it's still
Jet
terrible.
Li wasn't in that one.
Yeah, they're both terrible.
They're both fucking awful. But I mean, it was, like you said, it was an enjoyable, movie. It hit the right beats, even though some of them felt a little bit, tired.
Yeah, it felt like it was trying to be an actual sequel.
Yes.
It wasn't just aping on previous movies. It wasn't just... It did have nostalgia, obviously. It didn't feel like it was completely reliant on it.
No.
Because you would have just had Rosewood the whole way through if you were doing that, right?
Yeah.
Some of it doesn't make...
He hasn't been in a movie for like 6... hasn't been anything for 6 years, I think. He sort of...
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was a retirement thing or whether it just sort of like he hadn't bothered being in anything.
Just made, I wonder if he just made the money and just thought,
yeah,
can't be bothered, Yeah, some of the movie makes no sense. The SD card, I'm like, why didn't you just go home and transfer it to the internet? Done. I guess you could argue maybe Rosewood doesn't know how to do that, but I don't know.
It was still better than the Coming to America sequel. That was
God, that was my biggest fear going into this one.
It was going to be as bad as that.
Because Coming to America is such a good movie. Yeah. I was so excited for that sequel, and it was awful. So I was really worried that's what this was going to be. And I was pleasantly surprised. I had a really good time with this one. So, and again, I will probably never watch it again.
No. But I think I would recommend it.
If you're a fan of the series, like
the first two.
Yeah, and the first two I would watch any day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'd bother with this, but I'd certainly watch it over the third one, and I certainly recommend it if you're a fan of the series. It does feel like an actual sequel. It's not just a cash-in or just nostalgia, or making fun or ruining the characters, which a lot of these sequels tend to do these days.
Yeah.
Everyone feels like themselves. They're playing the characters. It's great. You're right. When all three of them are on screen, it is like, oh yeah, instant smiles. It's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it. It wasn't amazing, but it was, for a sequel this far gone, it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, for sequel gap, you know. It's not Top Gun Maverick level.
No, but it's fine.
It's not Coming to America levels either.
No, exactly. I can live with that.
It's a happy in between.
So, what else have you watched?
So, I have also seen Immaculate.
The movie I'm told I should have seen instead of The First Omen.
Well, I haven't seen it. I will say I'm not sure whether that's the case.
Cool.
I haven't seen First Omen yet.
No.
But, so this is directed by Michael Mahan, and it stars Sydney Sweeney. And we basically were introduced to Sweeney's sister Cecilia,
right.
Who is an American sort of nun. I don't know whether I think she must be a novice. She was in America as a novice, but her church has closed down,
right.
And she's offered a job in an Italian facility, which is I think it's like a convalescent home for sort of old and dying nuns. So it's in the middle of like nowhere in Italy, and she goes there. She doesn't really speak the language. She knows a few words. She's picked up at the airport and taken to this beautiful convent, which is like, it's just a huge sort of beautiful thing. Oh, and you get an initial scene of another nun trying to escape from this facility and being dragged back and buried alive. So that you already know that this is
bad things are happening.
Yeah, you already know that this is a bad place. There are these sort of red-veiled nuns that seem to be walking around in this place. But Sydney Sweeney, she's this very sweet girl she's taken there, and one of the younger sisters seems to be put out. I think it's Sister Isabel. She seems to be put out by her. She's like, doesn't seem happy that she's there, but she comes across another Sister Gwen who seems, quite cheerful and happy and stuff. And they're wandering around, and she's getting ready for her sort of, I guess, to pledge to Jesus sort of thing, to make her a fully fledged nun. So she has all that sort of stuff. And she has this thing where she's shown that in this convent they have a relic. So they have this, she hears sort of screamy crying at one point. She goes down into like the reliquary, and there is this woman stretched out on the floor sort of thing crying, and she goes up to her and try to sort of find out what's going on. But the Reverend Mother comes in and says, "Oh no, don't bother her. It's okay." She she gets very passionate about her faith. So don't remember. And then she shows her this relic they have, which is supposedly brought by one of the saints. I forget which saint it is now, but it was supposed to be brought from, and it's a nail from the cross.
Right.
So she gives her the nail, and she has this sort of thing, and she has this sort of like fit, and she collapses.
Okay.
And she wakes up a bit later. It's like, what happened? Oh, you just collapsed. You must have had too much wine at your, thingy. Blah blah blah. Long story short, she's pregnant, and they're like, oh, you must have had sex before you came here. Blah blah blah. But
I think I'd remember.
They had a doctor checked her before she came in, and she was intact. So that. So it's an immaculate conception. Da 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 da. So now she's, become the focus of these nuns. So there she's, gonna give birth to what might be the second coming.
Oh, the second coming of one of them.
Yeah.
One or the other.
So from there, it's the sort of, they're keeping her in this place. She can't get out. They've got their own doctor that sees her. There's a priest, Father Tedeschi, who not quite as bad as Kevin Bacon, but is clearly the yes, you're not a good guy, are you? You're clearly the. I mean, it's sort of in one of his introductions. When he's talking to her, and he says that he used to be a scientist, and immediately you're like, okay, scientist, right? Are we talking like evil scientist here, or like, of course he is. He was an evil scientist. So from there on, it becomes a sort of her trying to sort of escape this place, and while she's becoming heavier and heavierly pregnant as the months pass, sort of thing. And you find out that one of the other sisters becomes murderously jealous of her, and
right.
That's when things start sort of taking a sort of that clearly there's more to this sort of thing for our character. It's like, it's not just try not to give too much away, sort of thing, but it's not quite. How do I put this? It's got some real atmosphere. It's got a very nice sort of the place, the setting's really beautiful. Most of the other characters, I think they're all Italian actors,
right?
So they're slightly hampered by that. It's very much Sydney Sweeney's movie. She is pretty much front and center for the whole movie, and she does a very good job of it. She's very committed to her part, and from what I've read, she auditioned for this years ago. I think when she was like 17 or something.
Right.
And the funding fell through, and then the movie disappeared, and for some reason it kept with her, and she then funded it herself. She found a way of funding herself.
She obviously felt really strongly about this movie then.
Yes, so I think it does feel very much like a passion project for her. And she's great as this sort of very sweet young girl who's, finds herself pregnant in, suspicious circumstances, but also kind of worshipped by these women in this place. So she's, having to deal with multiple levels of what the fuck is going on. And there's some nice gore. It's paced a little slow. I think it's a 2-hour movie, and I think you could probably have cut. Yeah. Oh no, it's not. It's an hour and a half. It felt like a 2-hour movie. It's an hour and a half, but it did feel slightly longer, and I think it did need a little bit more in the pacing stakes. There's a couple of times where you're like, come on, we need something to sort of happen now. And there's a couple of bits with these sort of veiled nuns where you think, oh, we're going to see more of this, we're going to see more of this, and it kind of peters out.
Right.
So you don't sort of get a bigger sort of feeling for this sort of this facility, the ins and outs of this facility. So there are differences from, the other one. What you said. This is not so much of a possession movie as such.
Right.
It's should I? Do I spoil it? I don't. No, I won't. I'm not going to spoil it because I think it is worth seeing, but only if you're a very sort of dedicated horror fan. I think this will bore the tears off of anybody who just goes to see it as a casual horror.
Jump scare people will not be pleased.
Yeah, it's not. It does have the odd jump scare, but nothing that sort of warrants your big sort of,
Yeah.
It's not that sort of movie. It's more of a sort of a personal horror sort of thing. It's more the horror of being alone, from being away from your family, or
isolation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's being away from your own community, I guess, because she's American in Italy, so she's already, there's already the language barrier, and and that, and the fact that she doesn't really know what's going on. So it's more about that and the sort of the isolation horror of that. And I said there are some moments of gore which were quite nicely done. And I said I would really watch it for her performance, because I think she's wonderful. She does a very good job as the sister. But it just sort of needed a little bit of a kick. It needed that little bit more of a sort of solid, through of this order and things, and maybe a sort of not a better explanation, because what they're doing is it's fine. It's very science fiction-y, and it does kind of fall down if you actually know anything about what they are doing.
Okay.
But as I said, I did enjoy it. It's not a bad film. It's just not a great film. It has a sort of, I guess I would, all I could say is really that I would recommend it to horror fans that are more patient and more willing to sort of just go with the movie as it is than a movie audience that wants to see blood, guts and gore and big jump scares. It's not that movie at all. It's if anything, it's just a showcase for Sydney Sweeney, and I guess proof that she's actually more than just boobs and a pretty face. I think she did a marvelous job of in this, a kind of understated horror movie, really. So yeah, I would recommend it, but only with the caveat that it's not this big bombastic, horror movie. It's a slower paced, more of a sort of, I guess, 70s sort of horror, I would say. That has that sort of
no, that makes perfect sense.
More like The Omen. I would, it fits in with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just not as good as that. So yeah, I would recommend it on with those caveats.
Cool. Well, that was Immaculate. I will certainly check it out at some point, just to see how it kind of compares to the first Omen.
And I'm going to do the same with the first Omen now. Now that I've seen this, it makes sense to watch it, really.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I also saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. These ape titles. So this is the start, in theory, of a new trilogy of Apes movies. Still continuing the the reboot series. It's not a reboot; it's a continuation of that series. So we had Rise, Dawn, and War of the Planet of the Apes, and now we have Kingdom. So the end.
I mean, we're already getting, what dwindling returns.
Oh yeah.
Already, I like all three of those movies.
So do I.
But they have a very strong start, and they kind of peter.
See, I always felt like my memory of those movies is that the second one was probably the strongest, but I could be wrong. It's been a while.
I like the second one a lot.
Yeah,
the second one is really good, but I think for me the first one's still the best.
First one's great. Yeah. So in any case, this movie opens with the death of Caesar. Spoilers if you haven't watched War. He dies. Opens with the death of Caesar and then moves forward. And it's very clear that I think we're like 300 years in the future or something past that film, past War. So humans lost the ability to speak during War. And the virus was affecting. It killed a bunch of humans. The virus from Rise of the Planet of the Apes made the apes intelligent, killed off the humans, made the humans dumb, and killed them off. Those that survived started colonies during Dawn and whatnot, and were fighting against the apes. Then by War, they'd started losing the ability to speak, and their cognition they were regressing. So this is far in the future now, past Caesar's death, and apes are the dominant species on the planet. Humans are rarely ever seen, or at least rarely ever seen, by the Eagle clan, which is the clan we follow in this movie. Right. They call the humans echoes, and they rarely ever see any echoes. Okay. So the Eagle clan are so called. Why do
they call them echoes?
Don't think they ever explain it. They just do. They call them echoes, and then later Noah, the lead ape of the movie, meets up with other apes from different areas who call them humans. So I guess this tribe are just they've got their own kind of language. Yeah, I guess. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you realize that Noah's clan has no knowledge of the history of humans, and that they used to be the dominant species on the planet.
Okay.
So from that respect, it makes no sense that they're called echoes. It makes more sense that they're called echoes if you know that they used to be the dominant species and now they're an echo of the past. That makes more sense. It turns out they don't know that. So anyway, the Eagle clan are so called because they train eagles. That's what they do. And as a rite of passage. Mongolian? Sorry?
Are they Mongolian?
Well, they're apes. As a rite of passage, or like a coming of age, as part of their ceremony, the apes need to collect eagle eggs, wild eagle eggs, and we see that in the opening, a tremendously visual spectacle of an opening as they're climbing what used to be office towers but are so overgrown, that all you could see is kind of brick and rust through massive overgrowth. And they collect these eggs, and they do run into what they think is an echo. They believe it's an echo. It smells like an echo, but they don't actually see it. In any case, Noah ends up taking the eggs. They take the eggs back, and it turns out later that an echo was there and steals something of Noah's. Noah goes out to find them, and They then determine, oh my god, an echo's been into our area. That's almost unheard of. We need to go and send someone out to kind of assess the echo situation, whether they're migrating here because they're terrible and we need to get rid of them if that's the case. So they send out their kind of greatest warrior to go do that. He is then captured by Caesar, who is not Caesar. He's Proximus Caesar, an ape who is obsessed with Roman history, it turns out. He is from a different group, and a a much more militant group. And basically, once they discover the Eagle clan, they basically burn the place down, kill Noah's father, and take the tribe to this distant place. Noah is considered to be dead, or thought to be dead. They see him fall from a great height. He survives, and then he is on a mission of revenge to find his mother, his family, and ultimately get revenge against what turns out to be Proxima Caesar and his clan. Proxima Caesar is hunkered down. It's some big bunker next to on this cliff edge, which he's considered he's determined to get into. He cannot get into this building. It's basically in the rock face. It's clearly a military installation. Long rusted, enclosed, shut, and he basically is using the apes to try and open this thing. He's decided that evolution is too slow. He knows what evolution is. He's determined that it's too slow, and he feels that if he can get in there and get what the humans had in there, then he can evolve his apes faster, basically. He thinks it will send them generations ahead. So the Eagle clan are completely unaware of the human history. It's kind of insinuated that maybe Noah's father and the elders knew, but kept it from the other apes in the clan. Proximus knows all of the history. In fact, he has a human who speaks to him and tells him of the history, because it turns out that there is still at least one group of humans who can talk and have cognitive, they're basically humans as we know them.
Yeah.
He has one of them and has killed the rest. Well, basically it turns out that his apes didn't realize that they were intelligent, so they killed the rest. Apart from Freya Allen, whose character is still alive. So they are desperately after Freya Allen's character. I forget her name.
She's called Nova, isn't she?
Sorry?
She's called Nova, isn't she?
Well, I think she's got a different name.
No, she's listed as Nova.
Yeah, I think she's got a different name. So basically, he in his search for his family, Noah comes across Raka, who's this orangutan, who is a historian. He knows the actual history. He teaches Noah about evolution and that the humans used to rule over the apes and all of this, which is a complete revelation to Noah. He basically has some knowledge, but some of it's quite wrong as well, if that makes sense, because he's obviously piecing it together from what he's learned over the years. And he's got this group of people who follow the teachings of Caesar, actual Caesar, the apes together strong and all of that stuff from the original trilogy. He is teaching, he's part of a group of apes, now all dead because of Proxima Caesar, that follow the teachings of the original Caesar. Proxima Caesar basically has taken the teachings of Caesar and corrupted them. So apes together strong means like gang up and murder the other apes that get in your way.
As long as it's us that's doing it.
Yeah. So he tells he tells Noah of evolution and all of this stuff. And there's a moment when they come across Freya Allen's character, and he calls her Nova. And then he turns to Noah and he says, "We call them all Nova. They're all called Nova." But I think later when they discover that she can speak, they find out her actual name. May is her actual name. There we go. It's on Wikipedia. Thanks, Wikipedia. I'd forgotten. So, yeah, it's weird because I did see some reviews of this movie that were like, "Oh, it's really plodding. It takes ages to get going." Honestly, I feel the opposite way to those reviews with this movie. I actually thought the opening and the traveling to get to Proxima Caesar was the most interesting part of the film. Seeing Noah's clan and their kind of daily life and their coming of age trials and the friendship that he has with his siblings and friends. That was way more interesting to me. Seeing him meet up with Raka and seeing Raka's like what he knows of human history and what he thinks is human history, and Noah discovering about evolution and the fact that the humans used to rule over the land and stuff. That stuff was way more interesting to me. The journey to get to Proxima Caesar for me was far more interesting than when we got to Proxima Caesar.
Right.
Because ultimately, when you get to Proxima Caesar, it just becomes War of the Planet of the Apes again. Because you've got secret military bunker with all the things in it that the apes want, that the humans don't want them to have. And it's the same thing again, except this time it's just Freya Allen and this other guy, Trevelyan. Trevelyan, I think his name is. Something like that. He's the guy who's taught Proxima Caesar of all the history, and he's, he says that he has a love for Roman history in particular.
Oh, it's William H. Macy.
Yeah, he's great. He's great in the role, but yeah. Effectively, his character is basically given up and has said, like, look, the apes have won. We just need to accept our place in it, and that because you can speak, unlike most humans, you'll do really well here. He'll respect you, or not respect you, but he'll give you a place to live, and he'll listen to you, and he won't kill you.
Yeah. You'll be a nice pet.
You'll be an amazing pet, yeah, and you will live like relative luxury. They live better than a lot of the apes do under Proximus, because Proximus needs them, basically.
Yeah.
May, Freya Allen's character, however, is on a mission to stop the apes getting into the facility. She has knowledge of what's in there. And this is where it kind of, for me, devolves into just a rehashing of previous stuff from the trilogy. I thought it was much more interesting just seeing time has jumped forward and kind of learning that stuff. That was more interesting to me. If anything, the ending feels kind of tacked on. When they actually get there, it kind of rushes to the end at that point. And it's like, it's not terrible. I don't think it's as bad as the reviews kind of led me to think they were. Because when I saw a few reviews, and I ultimately decided not to see this in the cinema, because I was like, no, doesn't sound great, I actually quite enjoyed it for the most part. I do think the ending feels rushed and kind of disjointed and a little unnecessary, in terms of just you're rehashing the same thing again.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, though, is I think the three,
they did the job perfectly.
Did such a good job of not ruining the original Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, and I don't think this one ruins it.
And that I kind of thought, when I saw the trailers and stuff for this, I thought, they kind of had to have done something spectacular, really, to sort of make me go, I need to see this. They needed to either do something that maybe tied it better to the originals, something that, while not, ruining it, or actually remaking the original.
Yeah, we always felt like once you got to the end of that, it's like, I feel like you've earned the right if you want to remake the original now. I'd be okay with it.
I still wouldn't. I'd rather they didn't.
I'd rather they didn't, but I do feel like they've earned the right if they decided they wanted.
Yeah, because I mean, they made a point of setting it up. I mean, you get
the ship launches in the first one, yeah.
Ship, so you do, they're on their way,
yeah,
as it were. I kind of would have liked to have seen something done with, or maybe they are done with the cult from the second movie, the is it Brotherhood of the Bomb or whatever the fuck they are? That those dudes. I'd like to have seen something maybe with them, with like a weird survivors. I thought that would have been nice. I thought maybe do something with that, but.
Yeah, this movie doesn't really kind of address that particularly. We do learn by the end that there are more humans around the world that have survived, so it's clearly set up for more movie.
Yeah.
There was a lot that I enjoyed watching this movie. It's certainly lesser than the other three, for sure.
Yeah.
But Noah's compelling. Raka is great. I actually... one thing I will say, massive plus for this movie, I believe what was the movie I watched? Cobweb? No, not Cobweb. Cobweb's the other rubbish one I saw.
Baghead.
Yeah, Baghead. I knew it was
That was the one with Freya Allen in it.
Freya Allen. I thought, I was like, is Freya Allen a terrible actress or is it the script? She's great in this, so I actually think it was the script or the direction of the previous movie.
Okay.
She clearly can act, so I take that back. She's actually really good in this. When she's, at least she's very good with what she's given here. Yeah, I thought her acting was fine in this. So there's that. But yeah, this movie is clearly setting up to be another trilogy or another set of films. But yeah, it's fine. Like, I certainly recommend watching it because I think there's enough here. Visually, it's stunning. The effects are great, which is a relief because some of the trailer effects looked a little ropey to me. I actually thought it looked great when I watched it. At least on the small screen, it looked fine. The mythology is interesting. I just felt like the ending was kind of it's like you're retreading themes that the original remake trilogy, God, did. We've done that already.
Yeah.
I do like. I feel like they could have. I like the theme, and I feel like they should have focused more. Because they touch on it, but I feel like they should have focused more on the fact that the apes are now becoming what they hated in humans.
Yeah.
It's like, now that they're the dominant species, they are starting to make all the same mistakes. They are starting to become that way. They are caging humans. They are doing, do you know what I mean? It's like that, they touch on it. And I hope that if they make more, they really go there to where it's like, yeah, you're becoming the thing you despise now,
At what point is... So this is only a couple of 100 years, isn't it? You said
it's something like that, I think.
Because what is the... Because
it's been long enough that
it's like 3,000 years or something like that. There's a couple of thousand years, I think he's asleep for.
I mean, I think they only say many generations. I mean, it's been long enough that Caesar, Noah's tribe, I don't think I've even heard of Caesar. And, the teachings of Caesar have clearly been long forgotten. So it's obviously long enough for people to forget things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how far in the future. It doesn't feel far enough at this point.
Okay.
And it's clearly going in a different direction anyway, because
I mean they've already altered how they become sentient anyway, haven't they? So.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you follow the actual original movies, it doesn't quite work anyway because it's like a totalitarian society where apes are treated as slave labor, and
so you've got the paradox of, what is his name? Is he Caesar?
I was gonna say Caesar. I think it is Caesar.
Yeah.
Who's the time traveled son of
Zera and Cornelius.
Do you know those movies? I love all of those movies. Even is weird and out there as that last one got. I liked it anyway.
I've got a real soft spot from Escape.
Yeah, me too.
It's basically just, hey, what if we put the apes in modern day San Francisco or wherever it is?
It's a great idea. Let's save some budget.
Yeah. This way we're only making up blimey hell, Roddy McDowell and Kim Hunter, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, they the first one.
It's a stunning movie. We've covered it. Anyway, it's stunning.
The first one is a masterpiece.
Yes.
The sequels,
the immediate sequel is kind of pointless.
The immediate sequel is other than having some nice ideas. I love the cult. I'm calling them Cult of the Bomb, but I don't remember what they're called.
I know who you mean. Yes,
but it's a really nice idea that I think deserves to be explored better. I mean, they are kind of Last Man on Earthy, but
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's very sort of weird the way that they go, but they've got some really nice like political themes keep going in those movies, and they're done quite well actually. The battle, isn't it? Battle's the one with where they're using apes as like slave labor and stuff.
Battle for the Planet of the Apes, isn't it?
Yeah. So that one's. I mean, even that has some really nice
has some
ideas.
Nice moments. Yes, it does.
There's some really sort of almost powerful,
The only really terrible one is the Burton one.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I'm like, I fucking hate that movie. Like, that's it. I actually tried watching it when we did our watch along our review of Planet of the Apes. I literally, like 10 minutes in, I was like, no, fuck this, it's terrible. But yeah, I like all of those the classic movies. I like the series as well. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was fine.
Forget about the series.
Yeah, I had some moments.
I mean, it's for what it is. It's just it's a sort of another one of those sort of 70s, 80s TV series that was just a continuation of a movie franchise that is not going to be very good.
But it's more of the same, and back then VHS was not a thing, or very much less of a thing in terms of getting your hands on things. So, this was fine. It's worth a watch for sure. It's, as you said, absolutely diminishing returns, and I clearly they're going in a different direction by the end of this movie. I'm interested to see if they have a sequel, what that will end up being. But yeah, it feels like the next one, because this isn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination. The next one would need to start doing something unique and, move the story forward, give us new things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the worst. So what else have you watched?
Should we do Monkey Man?
Oh, yes. Monkey Man.
Did you say you've seen this as well?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, cool.
He's done A Dark Place. Dev Patel has done A Dark Place, directed, written, produced, and starring Dev Patel.
Well, apparently he approached Blomkamp to direct it.
Oh, really?
And Blomkamp apparently went, your passion for this tells me that you should direct it.
It's not really a Blomkamp movie, I don't think. It's not the kind of thing he tends to,
No, but I think style-wise,
I mean, he's a great, totally. Yeah.
Him as a director, I think, and for what he wanted to pull off. It sounds like it went through a bit of a mare to get out because
it lost all of its money. Wasn't he like shooting half this movie on an iPhone or something because it all just went to crap before?
Yeah, Netflix originally picked it up and were going to sort of distribute it, and then I think they got cold feet when I think it started some of the issues that the movie brings up, especially with like the trans community in India and some of the the underclass.
Right.
I think Netflix got cold feet and were like, maybe not, maybe we won't.
Right.
So they got cold feet, and it was what's his name? Jordan Peele, is it?
Yeah.
Jordan Peele. He stepped in. He viewed it and said, "I'll distribute it." So is it Monkey Paw Productions? They stepped in and were like, no, we should, this movie should, be out for people to. And so, actually, fair play to him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, for the most part, I'm glad they did. I enjoyed my time with this movie. Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah, so like I said, Dev Patel directing, Dev Patel writing, Dev Patel starring, and it's him playing a character called Kid.
Yeah, he's just called Kid. And we're kind of told early in the movie that he grew up in this forest village, and they're told of the tale of the Monkey Man.
Hanuman.
Hanuman Monkey God. I could not remember the name of that, so I was like, Monkey Man.
I have a vague obsession with monkey gods.
Oh, so, okay. Well, I didn't know that.
Son Goku and
take it away.
Chinese Odyssey and stuff like that. I love monkey. So
cool.
Hanuman is the Hindu equivalent of. Well, I say the Hindu equivalent of Son Goku. I think if I'm I'm right, Son Goku came from Hanuman. Hanuman is an older god than Son Goku is, but that's
right. Okay.
so. Anyway, yeah. So basically, Dev Patel is his character is when a small child. His mum tells him the story of Hanuman and how he was a hungry monkey who saw a beautiful mango in the sky and decided that he was so hungry he wanted to eat it. So he went up and ate this mango, but it wasn't a mango, it was the sun, and he's punished for it. And then he's, depending on the version, he's later sort of forgiven and he becomes a god. And I think he's a companion of Vishnu. I might be wrong on that, but he's a companion god, and he epitomes the virtues of strength and loyalty.
Right.
So
yeah.
he's brought up worshipping Hanuman,
Hmm.
and it becomes very clear that quickly that something happens to the village, something happened to him, and now he's this young man who ekes out a living as a monkey masked fighter in a sort of what looks like an illegal.
Yeah, like
and it's not quite wrestling, it's not quite cage fighting, but it's a sort of mixture of the two.
It's
he's
pretty
clearly
clear
the heel.
he's been told to fucking lose every fight.
Yeah, he's the heel.
Yeah.
So he's the heel that gets beaten up every week by, is it King Cobra? I think
so something like that. Yeah.
Face who's the hero, and from there we see that he's got some sort of planet ongoing where he needs to get into this
it's like a brothel, isn't
club.
it?
It's like the sort of the I think it's in a hotel, and I think the upper thing is a sort of private club.
Yeah, it's like a quote unquote legitimate business downstairs, and then upstairs or going into the basement one direction gets more and more corrupt.
So he's you get lots of flashbacks to him, awful things happening to him and his mother.
Mm-hmm.
He's this very scarred. His hands are completely scarred up. He's very scarred, and he gets this job there, and you soon discover
that scene, by the way, the scene where I loved the direction of the scene where he got the wallet. That was really good. Yes,
that was very cool, and actually leads to one of my problems with this movie. But he basically gets this job there so that he befriends one of these guys called Alfonso, who he knows can get him upstairs, so that he can basically kill the chief of police. Is what you find out.
The corrupt chief of police who was hired by a spiritual guru of the nearby city, basically.
Yeah, this spiritual guru, this lion guy, who is he's backing a nationalistic party leader who wants to. I mean, I guess in the Indian equivalent of very right wing, wants to stamp out the lower classes and wants to get rid of the trans community that are there and all that sort of stuff. So he's
and it's conflicting religion as well, I think, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. There is an element of that as well. So obviously this goes wrong, and
his attempt to
from there he's saved by this transgender community, and
it's the classic Rocky 3 formula.
Yeah, he gets I mean, his style of fighting does appear to be Rocky's.
Yeah, get hit a lot and just keep going.
Lot, sort of, so from there on, it becomes a sort of a
remember who you are.
Yeah, remember who you are, and find your purpose is this sort of thing, isn't it? It's the find your purpose within this community and fight for that community, and that. So it becomes, he remembers who he is, as it were, sort of, because like it's vague. It's almost like he only vaguely remembers who he is.
Yeah, and you kind of get the impression that he's been kind of punched so many times in his day job as a jobber. Just, you have to lose, but it's not like wrestling lose. It's like you're losing, but you are taking a pounding every time as well.
Yeah.
That he's almost forgotten that he can fight back, and that he can fight quite successfully if he puts his mind to it.
Yeah. So Dev Patel wanted to do what he wanted this movie to have the feel. I think he said something along the lines of, he thinks that the action genre has become a bit of a joke. It's become a bit sort of stale, and he wanted it to go back and be more like those like heroic bloodshed movies, like the Hong Kong action movies from the 80s and 90s.
I can see that influence for sure.
And although I haven't seen a lot of Indian movies around that time, I think India had a similar.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, because I know they've done. Indian cinema has inspired Chinese movies, and Chinese movies have inspired Indian movies.
Sure.
So they have this sort of weird, like, cyclical relationship that, and I think Dev grew up watching those movies like we did. So, and he wanted to bring, and you can see that in this movie. It does feel very much like a sort of early 90s, late 80s Hong Kong movie. It has that feel to it. Which I think is going to slightly disappoint people, because I think the trailer makes it look like a John Wick movie.
Yeah, it's not, and I don't think it was really trying to be either.
No. No, I think it was trying to get away from.
Yeah, but the people that made the trailer were like, no, this is how we sell movies, by lying.
Yeah.
Make it John Wick.
And the thing is, it's got this sort of this core of fighting for a purpose and fighting for the downtrodden, and it has a religious core to it. There's no escaping it. It does have a religious core to it. The Hanuman thing is very prominent in it. There are some beautiful shots.
I'm so conflicted. I'm so conflicted on the direction of this movie.
Yeah. This is
because I loved when this movie opened.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this movie is shot brilliantly. It's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
The fight scenes are a bit too shaky for me.
Yes.
The driving scene almost made me nauseous.
It's so annoying.
The driving in particular was terrible. That was so shaky and so unnecessary. The first fight being shaky, I was kind of down with, because I was like, it showed the kind of chaos of that scene.
Mm-hmm.
But God, that chase scene afterwards, I was like, this is like the worst Jason Bourne shit.
Yes. Yeah, it really is.
But some of the direction's gorgeous. Some of the framing, some of the camera work is wonderful.
And what's really annoying is you've got these scenes that sort of work, where like there's particularly I think one really good shot was when they're in the kitchen and he's fighting someone, and when the camera shakes because he's hit this guy into the sort of the wall, and it sort of blurs slightly.
Yeah,
that sort of worked. That was okay, but then it sort of almost just devolves into this sort of too much shaking, and it's like, oh no, don't go that way. Don't. It's like you had something there.
It goes too far, I think. Yeah.
You sort of had. It's like he had a focus for it as a thing. You know what I mean? Like the shakiness worked for what he was trying to do, and then it just becomes shaky. But there were some really lovely, like, I want to say artistic moments.
There are. No, I agree.
Especially when this later on, much towards the end of the movie, when the trans women come in, and
that scene was great. When they turned up and the music kicked in, I was like, this is good.
And they've got these spinning skirts.
Yeah.
And the shots of these twirling.
Yeah.
So the twirling movements was so lovely,
and
I loved the sort of the bit where he gets rescued. Trying not to give too much away, but
I think I ruined this movie when I said it was Rocky 3. I mean, basically, gets beat, comes back.
Yeah. there's this shot when he ends up in the water. Let's just say he ends up in the water.
Yeah.
And there's this beautiful shot of the water and him sort of looking through this water, and then you get him rescued, and his like delirious mind. These people like putting him back together and fixing him, as it were, mixed in with his childhood stories of Hanuman, are wonderful.
Really good, yeah.
Beautiful shots and beautiful, like really. So he's got this really cool sort of eye for that sort of thing, but then he kind of loses it as well. It's like he had this cool idea for what he wanted it to, but I don't know whether it was.
Might have been the budget and the kind of turmoil of what happened during the making.
Whether it was lack of funds or whether it was inexperience because it is his first.
Yeah, you know, it's a great first outing.
I would, and I would certainly watch another movie directed by him.
Absolutely,
because I think he did a pretty damn fine job of it overall. One of my main problems with it is
I kind of came away from this movie thinking I really like to see Dev Patel direct a movie that's not an action movie now.
Yeah,
you know, because get away from the shaky cam action. The shots that aren't that are wonderful. So
more of a true heroic bloodshed movie, something like A Better Tomorrow, or you know, something maybe with a bit more gunplay and less of the martial arts stuff. Apparently, Dev Patel's a taekwondo champion. So I
was going to say the fight scenes. He looks
so his fight scenes were you know, very competently done for the most part, other than the shakiness.
Mm-hmm. But that's what annoys me. I wish it was less shaky, so I could. I've never been the biggest fan of shaky cam unless it's applied with restraint.
You know, for that brief period when they first started,
the first fight I was fine with.
It was you know,
it worked.
It was new and novel, but when everybody started doing it, it was like, oh no, this is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I know. I was gonna say I actually thought it worked fine for the first fight in this film.
Yes,
because it was chaotic and he wasn't really thinking straight, and it wasn't really like a planned approach. It was chaos, and it worked for that. In the same way that it works for Spielberg, you know, when we're doing, you know, the beach assault, you know. That works. The Saving Private Ryan beach scene, the shaky cam works, is picking up the chaos, but it just beyond that first scene, it was too much for me. Like the driving scene was terrible for that. The shaky cam was just completely unnecessary in that scene. And yeah, some of the fight scenes are better than others, but the shaky cam for me, it was a bit too much.
For me, I think the main problem actually was not so much that is, it was that they had these lovely sort of, like you said, the scene where the wallet is stolen, and get all, and you had all these like characters that it just did nothing with.
Yeah.
You know, the kid who puts the money for, you know, the kid that follows the woman around with the phone and films her, who puts the bet on and things like that. What I wanted to see more of that. He didn't really have a character. He just turns up and does stuff and then goes away. And then you've got this whole community of people that he's with. We didn't really have a feel for any of them, other than Alpha, I think she's called. Yeah, other than Alpha, who kind of had a character, but only superficially.
Briefly, yeah.
You know, I wanted to see more of these people. I wanted to see more of their lives, you know, to get an idea of them. And I think it would have benefited from that more. I think is, you know, the character of Alfonso, who's sort of introduced, and you get this sort of, you know, some weird decisions with him. I thought, why is he actually going with him? That seemed like a weird decision. But then he doesn't do anything with him.
Yeah.
Sort of turns up towards the end, and you think, oh, maybe he's going to help him, or maybe. But no, his character just sort of disappears into the background, and you don't see him. It's like, oh, they set him up as he's one of the only he's one of the only people that has a proper character.
Yeah,
and it's like it feels like they forget about him, which I think was a shame.
Yeah, I agree. We're kind of
even Shelto Copley is the, you know, I mean, and he's going to be in the next movie I'm going to talk about, but it's a small role. but he didn't feel like he had a character. It just felt like Shelton Copley shouting a few things and pointing at people, and it was a bit. It's just like that's what disappointed me the most. I think is little things like that I think would this movie would have really benefited from. You know, showing these people a bit more, showing what he's there to fight for.
Yeah, and things like you said, you meet these characters. And then they're just kind of there. Like that kid is a prime example because he seemed like a really charming kid as well. I was like, he's kind of cheeky. I kind of like him. I'd like to see more of him.
Yeah.
And you know, even things like the that community he ends up with.
Yeah.
The Hijra community.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Never heard of them before. They're like a trans intersex community, right? I only know that because I've looked it up on Wikipedia following the movie. I would have loved to have seen the movie kind of explore that a little more. Like, tell me more about these people. Like, who are they? What are they doing? What's the deal? You know, you kind of meet these interesting characters, and then you're right. It just kind of goes, but they're not part of this story. And it's like, but, and then they turn up at the end. It's an amazing scene, like you said. When they turn up at the end, it's awesome. But I'm like, I would have liked to have got to know them more. I would have felt more,
them, you know, because he's there, like, during the training montage.
He's there for ages, presumably. He heals up and, like, remembers how to fight and everything.
Yeah, and wouldn't it have been nice if he sort of talked to these people a bit more?
Yeah, I would have preferred to get to know them more. Because as badass as that scene is when they all turn up at the end, it would have been way cooler if I knew them.
Yeah. The only one you know, really, is Alpha. And
even then, it's only a couple of lines.
Yeah.
From Alpha. It's not, like, a huge amount, so...
No.
So no, I liked it overall, but the shaky cam kind of annoyed me. And like you, I completely agree. It would have been nice to get to know these characters a little more outside of the kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, you know, it's clearly his movie.
And for a first movie.
And
solid.
I think he's done a pretty good job, actually.
I think so. I mean, he's well established as a great actor. You know, I think he's done loads of movies. I mean, obviously Slumdog Millionaire, very young. I thought The Green Knight I thought was superb. I loved him in The Green Knight.
I didn't like The Green Knight.
Did you not? Oh, I really liked it.
No, didn't like The Green Knight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I loved him in that.
I'd forgotten he was in Skins. That's where he started, was in Skins, and I did not remember him in Skins.
No, I can't say I remember that either. But yeah, I mean, he's been in an awful lot of things, and he's a tremendous actor. But this really was a strong. I mean, you know, shaky cam's a choice. It's not for me, but a lot of people like it. The direction of this movie, he's a really good director for a first film.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. I really would watch another one of his movies.
A lot of the artistic flourishes.
Yes,
there were some beautiful artistic flourishes.
Yeah, totally.
That I think prove that there is a good director in there.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
I would definitely watch another movie directed by him because I think he's you know, he's got the chops. He's I think other than a few choices in this movie that, you know, let it down, I think for the most part it's pretty good. I mean, I would recommend it to action fans, but not as a John Wick movie.
Yeah, it's not a John Wick movie.
It was totally missold on the trailer, I think.
Yeah, in the movie's defense, when you watch it, it's clearly not trying to be John Wick.
No, it's not. I would, like I said, I think it's trying to be
heroic bloodshed.
Yeah, it's trying to be a late 80s, early 90s Hong Kong movie, if anything else. I mean, I'm only saying that, using that because I know that
it's
more.
You know. Yeah.
I do Indian movies of that period. Yeah, I would recommend it. It's got a lot going for it. It's a, you know, it's got a real sort of heart to it that I really liked. You know, and it's I'm not going to spoil the end, but it's got that sort of thing that you would see in those movies. You know, it's got that sort of through that. You know, I'm happy with it. And I think I've seen some sort of reviews that have said, "Oh, but it's like it's dumb in this respect, and this doesn't." It's like, have you ever watched any of those movies? They're like they're they're not over the top in the same way that a John Wick movie is,
No.
but they still have this sort of, their core of honor and brotherhood and you know, they have these sort of mythical qualities about them. So, and this fits in perfectly with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would really recommend it. I think it's a really good, solid action movie that needs to be seen.
I think so, and it's a very solid directorial debut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, highly recommend Monkey Man. What else? You got one more, I think.
I do indeed. I have also seen Boy Kills World.
Boy Kills World. Tell us all about it.
Now, see, this has pretty much similar themes to that movie.
Oh, okay.
So this is I saw this one actually first. I watched this one before the other one. So it's weirdly, it has a lot of, you can make a lot of comparisons to it. And again, there's shaky cam in this, which is, it's not quite as bad, I don't think, but there was some shaky cam stuff in this, which was annoying. So in this, we have, he's called Boy. So we've gone from kid to boy. So we've got Boy, who is living in the forest with the shaman. And we are in it doesn't specify where this city is. It could be in South America, it could be in Indonesia, it could be anywhere like that, but it has this sort of vaguely sort of tropically type. I think it's probably a lot more likely that it's a South American place, but it's got that sort of, this is the city. It's run by the Vanderkoys, who was this psychotic family run by Famke Janssen's Hilda Vanderkoy, and then you also have Gideon and Melanie, and they're these awful people that run this city, and every year they have a culling in which they pick, I can't remember how many people, it's like 9 people or something. They pick 9 people and then they televise their brutal murders by like serial mascots.
Right.
And Boy was his family were picked by the Vanderkoys, and his mum was murdered, and he had his tongue cut out, and he was deafened. So he basically, the shaman found him, and the shaman has been teaching him how to fight and to overcome, these Vanderkoys, to be, the seeker of vengeance for the downtrodden sort of thing.
Right. And
so the boy doesn't remember how to, he doesn't remember his inner voice. So he picked an inner voice from a computer game that him and his sister played when they were, when they were kids. And it's the voice of H. John Benjamin, who is Archer.
Uh-huh.
And Bob from Bob's Burgers, if you like. So it's that voice. So you have a voiceover. You're hearing the inner voice of this guy from an arcade game, from this beat 'em up arcade game. So that's his inner monologue when he's speaking to us. But he also has his little, his imaginary sister who was killed with his mum. So he has this, and she turns up and she sort of causes men, it's like she does things, but obviously she's not there, but he reacts to her.
Right.
So he's like, she's wonderful. They did this big where she's like, we're going to break into this place. I'm going to be a ninja butterfly. And it's like, is that a thing? Was that? And she's just like running around in a ninja costume with butterfly wings and stuff. And of course he's reacting to her, but he's like, you're not. But he's telling himself, you don't exist. You're not real. Stop. But he keeps fucking up because he's reacting to this imaginary sister he has. So basically what happens is that, it gets to a point where he's out in the market one day, selling, I forget what it is he's selling with the shaman, and the Vanderkoys turn up to pick their new people, and of course he starts his whole thing, and he ends up rescuing. He ends up in this building with the Vanderkoys and stuff, and helps this guy escape, and he's got the underground fighters who turn out to be two people, and there's the wonderful things that, like, so Basho, played by Andrew Koji, who's great in he's an English Japanese actor who was in the Warrior TV show. Don't know if you've ever seen that.
No, I didn't see it. No,
really good. It's based on.
I've heard it's good. Yeah,
based on Bruce Lee's idea for what became kung fu.
Yeah.
And he's really good in it. I mean, in this, he plays this the sort of one of the sort of the underground guys who has this sort of it's like he's channeling Tom Hardy. He's got this voice. He sounds like this, and he's like, "Whoa, get in there, lad," and stuff like that. And he's really funny. And there's another guy who's the only other sort of member of this group who he's got this big beard and he can't read his lips basically. So every time he speaks, he just sprouts nonsense.
Right.
And it's really funny. It's like, I'm sure that's not what he said, but okay, well, let's go with it. So you have these like ridiculous characters, and there is a twist, which you kind of see coming a mile off, but it's got a great cast. You've got Michelle Dockery, who's from Downton Abbey and stuff. She's playing one of the Vanderkoys. You've got Brett Gelman, who's another Vanderkoy, who's really good at playing bloody awful characters. If you've ever seen him in things like he was in Fleabag and stuff like that, and he's really good. Oh, he's in Stranger Things. In Stranger Things, he's the guy that they go to for all the weird stuff.
I know the one.
The journalist or something.
Yeah.
And now he's the conspiracy guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's great as the sort of was one of the Vanderkoys, and you've got the great young performances from Quinn Copeland, who's the little sister or the imaginary little sister, and you've got these two boys, the two twins playing the younger version, which were it's just really sort of fun. And this is more in line with your John Wick stuff. This is stupidly over the top, on purpose. It's absolutely mental, this movie. It's really funny. Bill Skarsgård is fantastic in the main role. He's he doesn't say a word, obviously, because he can't, and it's just him mugging, I guess you would say. Some people say, for the whole movie, while his inner voice sort of speaks. And it's got a great set of villains. You've got Famke Janssen is the top villain, who nobody's seen her for a while because she's gone completely off her rocker, and she only ever comes out of her bunker during the culling. Right. So this is his opportunity to sort of to take her out, sort of thing. And you've got Yayan Rahan, who is from he was in The Raid, and he was actually in John Wick as well. John Wick 3 he was in, I think.
Yeah.
And he was in that. He was in one of the Star Wars movies and stuff like that. And he's a tremendous fucking martial artist. He's
amazing.
Awesome. He plays Mad Dog in The Raid. Mad Dog is one of the best characters in The Raid. Considering that movie is full of really good fucking characters, he's brilliant in that. And he plays the shaman who you get. There's one particular fight scene that is basically, I mean, you could say ripped off, or you could be generous, like I'm going to be, and say plays beautiful homage to the fight scene in the Raid, one particular fight scene that
Okay.
if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, I won't spoil it. But you've got this, these great fight scenes, and it is marred by a couple of shaky cam stuff.
Yeah.
Which I don't know whether it was done to hide some of the stunts, because I don't know how much Skarsgård did.
Yeah.
There's one bad guy character in particular who, played by Jessica Roth, who was in Happy Death Day. She's really good. She plays one of the Vanderkoys, and a lot of her scenes are done with this helmet on, and you think, oh, okay, well, you know why she's wearing that helmet, because it's clearly not fucking her doing the fight scenes, which is fine. It works for what they're trying to do. Where I liked Monkey Man, I loved this.
Okay.
More because it was stupidly over the top, I guess. I think it gets away with more, if you see what I mean, because it's doing that. These are all over the top characters, stupid over the top characters. I think I was more willing to give it more leeway, I guess.
Yeah.
And because it was just fun, I enjoyed it more. And I think that's probably. I think if you were honest, Monkey Man might be a better movie.
Yeah.
But in terms of just pure madness and enjoyment, I think Boy Kills World put it slightly over for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it is, this one knows what it is, it knows what it's doing, and it again, for the most part, it does it really well. Again, you could say it does suffer from, under character development, but then because of the movie it's pulling off, it's not so much. It's more of these are just stereotypes that you need, and that they work for what they are. Yeah. So it may be that I'm giving it more leeway because it's just silly, but I would highly recommend this to any over the top action movie fans.
Sure.
Because I guess if you were to say this has more in common with, funnily enough, another movie that has Sholto Copley in it, Hardcore Henry.
Okay.
It's that level of madness as opposed to the level of madness of John Wick.
Yeah, sure.
But it has more in common with John Wick than the other one, than Monkey Man does. But it's got, it's so over the top that it's enjoyable for that. So I guess if you're going in for an action movie that's like John Wick and you wanted a more serious thing, and this is not it. This is just batshit crazy, guy running around in a pirate suit murdering people, that sort of thing, and waves of bad guys being taken out by the deaf mute kid, and it's just such a, for me it was a pure joyful movie that was just big and silly, and
which is sometimes all you want.
Yeah, and the actual action scenes are really good, and I really enjoyed it. And I would recommend it for anyone who wants a big silly action movie with massive almost cartoon characters. Yeah, I really liked it, and I think the director Moritz Moore, I don't know what he's done before.
I'm not sure.
I think this might be his biggest movie. I think this is probably his biggest movie. So, again, I would say good start for him, and I would watch anything that he does next.
Yeah,
because I think he's done a pretty good job. Yeah, real fun, and you know, as a non-speaking part for Skarsgård, I really enjoyed it. He has enough presence to sort of to keep it going.
He's definitely got that in spades for sure.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to bother with his next movie.
No, me either.
Not going to bother with that.
Certainly not in the cinema. That's for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, as I said before, if they weren't Eric and Shelley, I'd be fine with it.
Me too. Or at least I'd certainly give it a go.
Yeah, if they're supposed to be Eric and Shelley, they can fuck off.
I don't know why they did that. That's a bizarre choice to me. Just make it its own thing and it's fine. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Plenty of other crows out there. It's not a problem.
Yes. But, you know, yeah, real fun. Real good time. Loved it.
Yeah, cool. Well, that is it for all of the movies we've seen. But is there anything else you wanted to cover? I know we've seen a bunch of trailers and all that stuff.
Just talk a couple of trailers. So the Captain America one
is a trailer for a film. Yes,
that's the thing.
I'm not interested in any
I
way,
don't
shape,
care,
or form.
honestly. Yeah,
honestly.
I just. It seems it's no disrespect to Anthony Mackie. I don't think he should be Captain America. There was nothing wrong with him being Falcon. They set up for Bucky to be Captain America. Bucky should be.
Well, isn't that what they did in the comics anyway?
Yeah, and I think and Falcon was Captain America as well. But the story they'd set up should have been followed through. And
Falcon's awesome though. I don't really know why they've decided to change him from.
Yeah,
you know,
and oh my god.
I mean, I'm not really, to be honest. I'm not interested in this stuff. Anyway,
Harrison Ford, I think, was an interesting choice to play Ross as well. Which is like, I mean, obviously they had to recast him because.
Yeah, I'm surprised he even said yes.
I am. I really
like Harrison Ford is like notoriously grumpy about doing anything. Like, you know, I was watching a documentary the other day on The Fugitive.
Oh yeah,
they were saying that Ford had to be convinced he wasn't bothered about doing it at all, and I was like, no, that's Harrison Ford. You know, like that fits exactly with what I hear Harrison Ford is like. So yeah, I was surprised to see him in that. That was probably the most surprising thing in the trailer. I was like, really, Harrison Ford agreed to do this? Okay.
From what I've heard, Harrison Ford just wants to smoke weed and fly his planes.
Yeah, fair enough. He's earned that right. Yeah,
exactly. He's earned it.
Yes.
He's, you know, I mean, maybe not at the same time, but I mean, sure. It's just that he keeps sort of moaning about things, and then he appears in stuff, and you're like, well, then why? You don't need to. It's not like you need the bloody money, is it?
No.
I don't understand why he's in this. It's really weird. Especially when you consider that he's in, I never remember the year properly. 1923, is it? I forget the fourth number. But he clearly is enjoying that.
Yes.
That's a role that he clearly wants to play. Because you can see he's fucking acting in it. That's the thing about Harrison Ford. You can tell when he's enjoying a movie.
Oh, you can tell 100% whether he gives a shit or not. 100% you can tell.
So it always strikes me as weird when he pops up in stuff and you think, why even bother?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether how much he's going to. I mean, spoilers for Red Hulk.
It's not a spoiler, is it? It's in the end of the movie, in the end of the trailer.
But yeah, but Ross he's Ross, isn't it? General Ross is.
Yes, traditionally Ross, at least,
is the Red Hulk. So it's like, okay, sure, meh.
Yeah, I have no interest in these movies anyway, to be honest, anymore. So it did very little for me.
A trailer that did nothing for me, but did for you, Aliens Romulus.
Yes, Alien Romulus. I think every trailer I'm seeing of it is filling me with potentially false hope that this might actually be good. I think it looks great. The direction to me looks really good.
nothing wrong with the trailer.
All of the
trailer
noises the directors, the team are
yeah,
making are right. Bang
and
on.
yet I don't care.
I get it. I said to Ben the other day, this is my last one. It's the same, the Alien franchise will be Star Wars if this one sucks. I'm not watching anymore. This is it. If this one sucks, I don't care anymore. I've suffered through Prometheus. I suffered through Covenant. I'm not watching another shit Alien film. If this one sucks, I am done forever. Just like Star Wars. And just like Star Wars, I'll watch the original trilogy, I'll watch Alien, and I'll watch Aliens. Beyond that, I don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe Alien 3 on the assembly cut, but I can be bothered,
Alien 3 it's one of those movies. It's
not terrible. It's got some nice ideas.
It's a really good movie. It just shouldn't have had Ripley in it.
Yeah, agreed.
It's got so many really cool things in it, and it just
some amazing cast. Amazing cast.
It does two terrible things. One, it's got Ripley in it anyway, and two, it kills off Hicks and New.
Yeah,
they can fuck off.
But anyway, I like the look of Romulus. I think it looks good. Whether it will be, I don't know. Like I said, if it succeeds, then great. I will. Yeah. I'm going to cinema it. It's one of only 2 movies that I think I'm cinemaing this year. I want to see Megalopolis as well in the cinema. I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think that might be it.
I've heard mixed things.
I should have gone to see Maxine because that's the movie I was waiting for the most.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't yet. And I've got to be quick because I think it's going away very shortly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but certainly I think Alien Romulus. I'm gonna do it in the cinema and hope that it's good.
There's big buzz about Longlegs at the moment.
I'd like to see that.
Tempted me.
I feel like it might not be in the cinema by the time I get a chance to see it, but I would like to.
So yeah, Aliens. I will watch it eventually, but I don't really care enough.
I totally get it. Like that's where I am with a lot of things, Star Wars in particular. I'm like, I will never watch any new Star Wars. I don't care anymore.
The Beetlejuice trailer.
I loved it. I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sold.
It does feel a little bit like Wednesday. Walk sideways, you know what I mean? It's
yeah, sure.
But it's like okay, fine.
It fits better for Beetlejuice than it does for Wednesday, though.
Yeah, I liked Wednesday a lot. Actually,
I did not.
I thought it was a good series.
Well, I didn't give it. To be fair, arguably didn't give it enough of a chance.
She's great.
Yeah, I'm sure. I just
there are some terrible things in that series, but for the most part I really enjoyed it. But this looked really fun and really
it looks great.
I've heard people say it looks like it has more in common with the cartoon than the first movie, which is fine.
Yeah,
I like the cartoon actually.
I have fond memories of it.
Yeah, it looks good for me because everyone that's coming from the original looks like they want to be there.
Yes, and they're not. It looks like it would make sense that they're there as well. It's not like it's forced or Yeah, I like the look of it. I think it looks fine.
And I'm forgetting fucking his name now.
Keaton.
Keaton, thank you, Jesus Christ. Keaton, always said that he would do a sequel, but only if Burton came back for it. And I guess they were both happy to come back and carry on. And it, Burton's had a little bit of a...
I can't imagine anyone but Burton doing a sequel to Beetlejuice.
God, no.
It just, do you know what I mean? It is one of those, like, no, it's such a Burton thing.
Yeah.
It has to be Burton.
Christ, on a similar thing, have you seen the trailer for Time Bandits?
I have not seen the trailer. I saw the thumbnail and I was like, no. This is my immediate reaction.
It's like, why would you do a Time Bandits without oh, for fuck's sake. My brain's gone again.
Terry
Gilliam.
Gilliam. Yeah.
Why would you? Apparently Gilliam was on the set for a while and then walked away from the project. So it's like that tells
me everything I need to hear.
Tells you everything you need to know.
Thank you very much. No, I've not seen the trailer. I didn't even bother. The biggest
sort of thing for me from the trailer is the main time bandit is Lisa Kudrow.
Oh yes, I saw the casting. Yeah.
And it's like, I love Lisa Kudrow.
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
Like, I had a poster of Lisa Kudrow on my wall. I like Lisa Kudrow a lot. But with all the best will in the world, what the fuck is she doing as a time bandit? No. I mean, it's bloody what? My name, fucking Takeaway TT.
Oh,
it's his
God.
project, and
no,
he can fuck off. So
no, thank you.
The trailer looked fucking appalling.
I think at this point I despise his humor.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. The only other trailer I want to discuss was another one that's a bit weird. Is The Killer.
Yeah, which I didn't even know had come out. So
yeah, it's a remake of The Killer.
Oh, we need to talk about Gladiator 2 as well, surely.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that one. Yep.
But yeah, anyway, The Killer. Tell me about it.
So yeah, it's a remake of The Killer, the John Woo movie, and it's directed by John Woo. So it's like his own project. I mean, this has been in the make for years. That there have been so many times that this is an American version of this has been wanting to be remade and it's sort of fallen through. So this finally gets made, and it's gender swapped killer. We've got female protagonist.
Yeah.
And it's the core story's the same sort of. She's a killer. She refuses to kill a blind singer, and then her boss wants her dead, and her boss is Eric Cantona. Which is like,
I still can't get over that ever.
I mean, I know. Look, he's been in loads of movies, and he's been fine in a lot of them that he's been in. But my God, Eric Cantona as the boss, as a crime boss, please, come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure I buy
it. The trailer didn't do anything for me, but it has been getting good buzz. So I don't know. I mean, the fact that Wu is directing it makes me at least vaguely,
it's somewhat promising.
Fine with it.
Yeah.
I mean, for that alone, I'll give it a go. But it did not look like a great trailer. So yeah, and I guess finally, trailer-wise, Gladiator 2.
Yes, Ridley Scott has lost his mind, and I don't know. You slip into those late 80s, yeah. I don't know.
Oh God. I mean, there was some nice. It looked good.
Look, Ridley Scott is a wonderful visual director.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it looks great. It also is the most unnecessary, pointless fucking sequel. The trailer music, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Whoever did that, fire them.
I mean,
that is one of my biggest hates.
Yep.
In any period film or period TV show, putting modern music like that, it ruins everything to me. I'm like, no, I hate it. I absolutely hate it already. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the whole story, I'm just like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, what is the point?
As mad as it sounds,
if you're gonna big up the time traveling Maximus,
I kind of like the idea of the afterlife stuff.
I mean, I would have watched it for the lols.
I would have been more on board with watching the mad, Maximus comes back from the afterlife and.
No, do you know what?
I fight through the afterlife and stuff.
I probably would have watched that in the cinema just out of I need to see it.
Yeah,
I'll give you that much.
because it sounded fucking mental.
Yes. Was that real?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things when I read about that and I'm like, was that ever seriously contemplated? I think part of my brain just refuses to accept that actually almost happened.
No, I'm sure there are scripts for it out there. It exists. I think it got quite far along at one point.
Jeez. Well, it will, because if Ridley Scott wants to do something, he carries that much weight that it will potentially happen. It's the same with James Cameron, isn't it? It's like, well, if Cameron wants to make 5 million Avatar movies, it's James Cameron. People are going to let him do it.
Scott's last movie fucked me off amazingly. I hated fucking Napoleon. It was.
I haven't seen Napoleon. I didn't like his the Duel movie. I didn't like that. I hated Covenant. I hated Prometheus. He is one of my. He's like two of his movies are in my top 5 movies of all time. So I love early Ridley Scott movies. I am not a fan of his later work. Yeah, unfortunately.
And he's become such. I mean, he's always a crotchety.
Oh
twat,
God, that's kind of why I liked him.
He's become more of a miserable twat that.
Yes.
Is not helping his own movies.
No, I agree.
I mean, I don't. It looked quite spectacular.
Yes, it did.
The water scenes, the filling up the Colosseum, which apparently was a real thing.
Yeah, I actually questioned that, but apparently it is a real thing. So
apparently they really did that. So,
which is crazy, but yeah,
awesome. I'd love to see that. Well, I think we will. And it looked great. None of the actors, I mean, with the exception of Denzel, because it's fucking Denzel.
Denzel is going to be,
It's like, I don't care. I don't know who you are. I don't really care about you.
He's presumably the son of the illegitimate son, right?
I think so. I'm guessing that's what they're setting up.
I'm assuming.
It's just a big old heap of.
Hey, the movie could come out. It could be amazing. I could love it.
Yeah,
it's entirely possible. The trailer did nothing for me.
No.
It's not to say the movie won't be amazing when I finally get around to seeing it.
Yeah.
It just the trailer as a trailer. No, especially that music, which sounds like a minor thing, but it really sets a tone for me. That kind of stuff.
As other people pointed out, especially when you have the soundtrack from Gladiator.
Yes.
Was so fucking good.
Exactly.
And so spectacular that just use music from that.
Yeah, why would you do that? Just don't.
And I think people have pointed out, it's like, why did they do that? Is it just because Denzel's in it? Is that why?
Oh no, that would be incredibly insulting. If that's the reason why they've done that. That would be terrible.
Done it because you thought, oh well.
No, I think it's just it's just a fucking cringe attempt at getting modern audiences in the theater. I think that would be my guess. Is there's a horribly misguided attempt at like, oh, the kids like this music.
Yeah, if I'm being
they
generous,
won't understand. They won't understand traditional scores, But I don't know. It's always bugged me with period pieces. I'm like, if you're doing a period movie and you put modern music in it, it really grinds my gears. It's a pet hate.
You say that, but then you've got things like Knight's Tale.
Yeah. There. I suppose there are exceptions. Yeah. Oh fuck! You've just shit all over my fucking thing now. Yeah.
Plunkett and McLean.
Right. Huh?
Plunkett and McLean.
Yeah.
That's got a very 90s soundtrack to it, and it kind of works for me. And I love that period of history, that sort of region.
I think I'm more down with like it's like, okay, if you're gonna do like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and it's like it's not really in the movie, the movie has a score, and I'm hoping that's what they'll do here, where it's it's not actually a part of the film. I don't know. Generally, it doesn't work for me. But Knight's Tale, that's a fair point. You raise a fair point.
I mean, it does work with that because I think they were going
Rarely
for that.
it will work. I'll give you that.
But yeah, no, I don't generally like
But
modern music in period pieces.
it may be an amazing film.
It could be.
Ridley Scott has the potential to always make an amazing film. So I don't know. Something he's passionate about. It looks like I'm not quite sure what the point is.
No.
Another guy in a gladiatory arena.
Yeah.
Lost his position in life. It's the same story again.
I mean,
like,
the weirdest thing
more
is
of the same. I don't know.
It feels very much like those 80s sequels.
Yes, it really does, doesn't it? More
where
of the same. Yeah.
Someone's cousin would turn up. You know, I mean, he couldn't afford the original actor, so here's his cousin.
Yeah.
Or his brother or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's or the son of, well, which is exactly what they're doing, really.
Or we we have nothing new.
Yeah.
So same story again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even the two emperors or whatever they are, were like, they just look like they're doing a Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly.
Impression.
It feels like nothing new. It's just rehash the same thing again. And I could be wrong though. I'm totally open to this movie blowing me away. It could happen.
Yep.
But the trailer did nothing for me. I will say that much.
No.
So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we disappear?
Yeah. Brief.
Let's do all the depressing shit.
Depressing bits. Yep. Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
75. What a tremendous actress. I mean, I think most people have probably only ever seen her in The Shining.
I've seen her in a few things.
But we have.
Yeah,
we've seen.
I was going to say she's in Time Bandits. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes, she is in Time Bandits. I love that the reoccurring thing with her and and now I'm going to forget his name. They keep turning up. That's brilliant. I love that. She was a great actress, and even if she'd only ever done The Shining, you know, what a movie to put on your list of achievements. I was in The Shining.
Yeah. That's enough. That is enough. You know, she put in some. I mean, she did Popeye immediately after that. That's a great performance as well. I mean, not a great movie, but a great performance.
I haven't seen that since it came out. So
she's amazing as Olive Oil, though.
She's perfect.
Yeah, right. A great performance.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot she was in Suburban Commando. Now I'm reading out lesser movies. I'll stop.
I went to the cinema to see.
Yeah, but I mean, it had Hulk Hogan in it. What were you gonna do?
Yeah, Yep.
Well, and it had The Undertaker in it. It had a bunch of wrestlers in it.
I think that was it. At the time, I liked wrestling.
Yeah.
At that point,
and
it had
Chris Lloyd.
Yes, thank you. It had Christopher Lloyd in it, so it's like, well, there's two things I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, Suburban Commando. Jesus Christ.
I forgot she was in that.
Yeah.
Completely forgotten she was in that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Just that performance in The Shining alone.
Yeah.
Let alone the fact that she put in amazing performances elsewhere.
Yeah, Nashville, Thieves Like Us. She's in McKay and Mrs. Miller, which is a great movie. You know, she was in these really great sort of minor roles and stuff. And I think, you know, she kind of retired from acting a while ago.
I think she had a bit of a breakdown, didn't she, at one point?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I think Kubrick didn't help.
Well, no, I imagine not.
He was notoriously evil to her, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, tremendous actress. Sorely missed.
Absolutely.
And another actress, Shannon Doherty, 53. She'd been fighting cancer for a long time now.
Yeah, like decades, maybe? That's part of a decade, right?
I can't remember when she was diagnosed, but it was a number of years ago. Just trying to find it now.
Because I know that she kind of became the like one of the poster child for fighting and continuing on with these. She had Crohn's as well.
She was diagnosed with Crohn's in '99.
So 2015, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it is the best part of a decade. Yeah.
And she was, she came out and she said, look, it's terminal. I've got cancer, and I'm going to do everything I can to fight it. But, and she was, I think she had this wonderful reputation in the 90s as this horrible bitch, really.
Why is it her characters? Yeah.
Yeah, well, she got fired from like 2 Hour and Spelling series. She was fired from Beverly Hills, and she was fired from Charmed.
Oh yeah, I suppose she was fired from quite a few shows now that you mention it.
Yeah, so there were the 90s feuds and things that went on, and I'm sure most of them were blown out of proportion. And I think she said that she was very honest about the fact that she was a bitch at that period, and that she she's a
young celebrity at the height of her fucking egos run wild. That's fine.
She grew out of it. She wasn't that person anymore. And one of my favourite performances of hers is from Mallrats. I think she's great in Mallrats.
Yeah.
She was in some really cool things, and I liked her in Charmed. And
I did.
I even liked her in Beverly Hills 90210. I remember watching that until I got to the point where it's like, why am I watching this?
I imagine she was a big part of the reason.
But yeah, again, good actress. Sorely missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, that is the lot.
What are we doing next week?
We are doing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I always get him confused. I'm glad you said that. It's Bogus Journey. It's the sequel, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't watched this movie for ages, so I'm actually really looking forward to it. A change of pace, some comedy next week.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that is it for us. We will be back next week with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Until then, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.